All right, Diamond. So tell me tell me about just your upbringing. Yeah, I heard you got saved at a Christian camp.
I did. I was adopted, and I had two loving parents. I was raised in Southgate, California. I went to Bible Baptist Church for many years, and I was the rebel. I was always a rebel. Got caught in church with pot and different things, you know. And I went to church camp back when I was 16, and that's where I was saved. And me, like a lot of people, they think when you're saved, then you can go do what you want. You know, you're saved and God's going to forgive you, and you know. But I found out that's not true, because I went the next, I don't know how many years doing what I wanted to do and not what God wanted me to do. And I started at 13. Actually, we should probably back up to when I was molested at 13. That kind of put me on a downhill spiral. Ever since the molestation took place, I was a newspaper boy, knocking on the door. I'm collecting for the Southgate Press. And this big jolly guy answers the door, flips open the door, and says, "Just a minute, I'm going to get my wallet." I said, "Okay." And I'm looking around, I see all this beer kegs and all this, you know, fun stuff. And, you know, a 13-year-old kid, their hormones are raging, you know. So he goes, "Do you want a beer?" I said, "Sure." So I went in, and I had a couple of beers. I was getting half drunk, and didn't take much for me to get drunk. Anyway, he says, "You ever seen X-rated movies?" And I said, "No." He said, "Would you like to?" I said, "Well, actually, I don't know, but I got to pee real bad, you know." And so I went in. There was no door on the bathroom, and so I went in there was peeing. And here he is watching me, and I should have seen the red flag come up, but I didn't. And so he's running these movies, you know, after I got done, and we're laying on the bed and everything, and he reaches over and he, you know, unzips the pants, and the rest was history, you know. I let him do it, and I thought it was cool, and I kept going back, you know, and I thought this was okay. It took 40-some years later to find out it wasn't okay, that I was molested when I was writing my book, and I thought, oh my goodness, and because all these years it was crazy, you know.
Was that the first time you saw porn?
On a movie, yeah. Back then, it was so many years ago. This was back in the 60s, and they had these little reels, you know, like little tapes, like a tape movie, you know. And I thought it was the best thing ever, you know. I didn't really realize that this is a man molesting me. I just thought it was sex, you know. And here we go, you know. So basically, I started sex when I was 11, and I was caught in a motel room before with a girl, and yeah, my dad knocked on the door, and he says, "David, are you in there?" And I didn't want to answer, but I said, "Yeah," and I had to face the music, so to speak, and we got severely punished. And again, this is all in the book, you know, and
so you get saved at 16, go on to, actually, when did you get
well,
married?
when I was 16, like I said, I got saved at 16. I got married at 17, started out, my first wife, still in high school, and this is a whole nother story. I didn't want to go to Vietnam, so I had to come up with some kind of a plan to get out of Vietnam, and so they said, if you have kids and married, you don't go. And so I said, okay, well, I'll figure out a way to get married and have a couple kids, and that's exactly what I did. You know, by the time I was at 17, by the time I was 19, I had two kids. The draft went off. And here I am, stuck with a woman I didn't love, two kids I didn't want. I'm stuck like this, right? That marriage lasted about 5 years. And then 3 weeks after I was married to the first wife, I was out fooling around with my girlfriend on the side, which was before the wife, you know. But you got to remember, I'm 17, 18 years old, raging hormones, and not going to church, not doing any of the right stuff. You know, running from everything, you know.
So how many times have you been married?
5 times. 5. I've been married, let's see, the last one was with wife number 5 is kind of funny. I was married 41 days, 6 hours, and 11 minutes. And she was a nut. But the sex was great, you know. And I came out of a hotel casino. And I didn't come out, but I was going in, and here was this drunk girl, and she was bubbly, and she came up to me and she says, "Oh, aren't you the guy from Judas Priest?" I said, "Oh yeah," you know, like that, thinking, well, they'll get this one bagged up. And sure enough, within an hour, I'm back at my condo and we're having sex, you know. And I'll tell you, it's my whole life was geared on sex.
Have you ever been faithful to any of your wives?
No. I was like, it was horrible. I mean, I used to be a cab driver here as well back in the 70s, 80s, and I used to pick up the hookers, and we get blowjobs on their way to the next, you know, where they wanted to go instead of the fare, you know. And they put Coke spoons up our nose, and we were high on drugs all the time. Back then, they didn't drug test or anything. That was the best job anybody could ever dream of. Driving a cab in Las Vegas, having hookers constantly and drugs and all this stuff. It was the best time of my life, so I thought. And that lasted almost 10 years. So
hookers, multiple wives, multiple affairs. Talk to me about porn usage.
Well, the porn usage was I was the type of person that had to have a different face for every time I pleasured myself. And I was heavily into the masturbation for quite a while because I thought that was a safe way to do it. And there's no disease involved, and you know, you can control everything and all that. So I would probably say I probably had a couple hundred movies, you know, and I mean, but I would get wore out on the girl on girl, guy on girl threesomes. I needed a whole new thing, you know. So that's where I got into the she-male stuff, and that was like a whole new adventure.
Yeah, so you know, because I think for some people watching, going, okay, well, threesome to this to she-male. So would you say, I mean, this progression of porn, I mean, you always wanted more, and you needed a new fix.
I needed a new fix constantly. Yeah.
And so it was never. Was it ever enough?
It was never enough. That's why I always say I was a slave to my penis, you know, to put it out there. I mean, whatever the penis wanted, I did, you know, and it was constantly. I'd wake up in the morning and basically ask it what it wanted me to do for the day. How am I going to serve it, you know? And so I try to figure things out. I did it in the cab. I did it while I was driving a cab. I mean, how can anybody do what I did? I mean, I was horrible. I mean, I concealed it. I didn't let anybody see it, but I'd have a couple girls in the cab. I'd be looking in the mirror, you know, and doing this, and I had to cover, you know, like a coat over me or something. They never saw what I was doing. They had no idea. But I was so slick at the whole thing that I did. Never got caught. All those years that I did what I did, never got caught once.
So the fascination then or the interest with the she-male stuff?
It was very interesting. You know, because they look pretty. They have the face of a woman, you know, and then they have the breasts and everything, and but they have the penis down below. And but I was never gay. I never wanted to be with a man, you know. But maybe going back to that being molested at 13 might have triggered something somewhere where I didn't want to be with a man. I didn't want to be with the she-male, but I got turned on looking at him, you know, because I was so bored with the other stuff, you know. I kept having to see new things and, you know, get it up in my mind.
So where do you just, you know, where do you find that? Where do you pursue that? I mean, you know, in your world of, you're driving a cab,
right.
You know, you've been with women, but now,
right.
So you want that. Where do you go to find that?
To find the women?
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, I used to go to the strip bars. I went to the Chicken Ranch out here, the Sherry's Ranch. I mean, I went to all the cat houses in Nevada. You know, was paying the $100 or whatever. Back then it was like 50 or 100. You know, nowadays it's a lot more. But oh yeah, the money was coming in, and through the cab company, I made all, you know, tips and stuff like that. So yeah.
And so you're with now your first she-male. And it's kind of.
Well, I was never with the she-male.
Okay.
Oh no. It was just in the movies and the magazines. Okay. I was never literally with a she-male.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so you're just
masturbating with the movies and the magazines with the she-males.
Yeah.
I never went any further than that. You know. I thought that was enough. I thought, but I could never get enough. I mean, I went to these stores and I tried to buy as much stuff as I could, and then eventually it all ran out. It was getting to be the same stuff, and they didn't really have any new stuff, and I'm looking for new stuff, and I never really found any, But I did in that Transformation magazine. That's where I found the article. It said a glamour boutique, get a makeover and be one of those, be a woman, So that's kind of where it took me to.
So, would you ever? So you read a magazine. It says become a woman.
Right.
You like women.
I loved women.
You've been with how many of them?
Over 1,000.
So what gets you when you're sitting there reading this magazine going, I could do this?
I could do it, and to this day I don't know. I mean, the truth is I believe it was a God sent, because every time I did what I did, pleasured myself, and maybe not every time, but most of the time I prayed. I said, God, I take this away from me. I can't keep doing this. I'm sick, and I kept praying, and that's why, it's all on God's time. I don't know. To this day, I believe in my own being that God says, this is enough's enough, and I'm going to take the whole thing away from you, and this is how I'm going to do it. He works in mysterious ways, and I've told this story to pastors and stuff before, and they don't really believe it, because the story is so hard to believe anyway. But why would God do that? I don't know. I don't. But why would I do it? Here I am, a perfect dude with a perfect sex life. I didn't need any drugs, no Viagra, none of that stuff. I mean, erections were drop of the hat, And why would I want to become a woman? Why would I want to chop it off? That's what my fifth ex-wife said when we had an interview with her one time. She says, he has an 8-inch penis. Why does he want to cut that off? Is he crazy? And I didn't think nothing about it, because I was led from that makeover and the cross-dressing and going back to the boutique and hanging out with all the cross-dressers, friends and everything. I couldn't stop. I'm so compulsive. I am one of the most compulsive persons you probably ever meet. But once I get started on something, look at the tattoos. I got my whole body is totally covered, 150 plus tattoos. I couldn't stop with that. But
when did you get your first tattoo?
I was 17. I had a Tweety bird. It was right over here, but it's since been covered up. And but I started getting all the girly tattoos. I got Hello Kitties and all the makeup and the different things leading up to the surgery. Because I thought, in my mind, I really thought I was going to be a woman.
So walk me through that. You read this magazine, you go in for an appointment months later.
I thought I was going to have sex at the appointment. I mean, that's how bad the sex was with me. Everywhere I went, I'm thinking I'm going to have some kind of sex. And I thought, they're going to make me up. I'm going to be a pretty girl. I'm going to have sex with the makeup person. I don't know. It's just, it's crazy.
In this process, I mean, it can't be cheap, right?
No, it was $150 to get the makeover, But I look good.
I'm talking about losing the penis.
Oh, that was the whole thing, from pulling the hair out of my beard all the way down to, I got the boobs put in, which recently I had them taken out, of course, but that's a whole nother story. But down to the vaginoplasty and the whole thing, I spent over $50,000. $50,000. So but I didn't care. I spent every penny I had. That's why I make a joke about it. Instead of buying a sports car, I bought a sex operation. So, it's. I should have bought the sports car. Is what I'm trying to say.
The day you lost your penis,
right?
I think was there. I mean, you're becoming a woman, but was there a sense of it's finally like it's gone? Like
Oh yeah.
I'm going to be free of this maybe addiction, or were you?
No, that's what's so crazy about it.
I'm just going to go in.
I thought I was going to be a woman doing the same thing. I didn't do it because what the Bible verse says, cut your hand off and all that stuff. No, I didn't do that. I read that later on, but I didn't do it because it said that.
So you thought this might be greater sex now as a woman?
Yes. I thought it was going to be greater sex as a lesbian. At one time, this tattoo said 100% lesbian. Down here it said lesbian. And then I thought, oh boy, I can't keep this anymore. So I had to cross out the lesbian, fluff it up and make it then. And we put love in here, so I could say, you know, this is more of a thing for God, 100% love, because that's what God is, you know. So I was able to switch it around and do that. So yeah, it's I literally thought that I was going to be sexually as a woman, not with men, because I never wanted to be with a guy, but with women. Wow. And I thought I'd be a lesbian, okay? See, that's where the whole thing comes in. That's where it gets even more interesting. Because when I woke up from the operation, all this, I thought it, you know, and I'm here 9 days, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be great. I got these nice boobs, and I'm oh, this is cool, you know. About a week later, maybe a week and a half later, so once everything's starting to heal up, you know, and everything, it's like I try to take care of it with vibrators, and I try to, you know, have a climax and everything. As a woman, couldn't do it. Nothing. No sensation, no feeling, nothing. So that's why I think in my mind it was a godsend. And he said, all right, because I went to one of the best surgeons there was. Everyone else has feelings, and all of them have sex, and blah, blah, blah. I have nothing, okay? So I do believe that God said, okay, I want to fix her. She's going to have no feelings. She's going to have nothing down there. And everything was gone, erased from my memory bank for sex. So I'm probably one of the only people, one of the few, I'm not going to say only, they can actually live on this earth and not think one thing about sex ever again. No feelings, nothing. It's just like totally gone, just poof, you know. And I live every day like that now, and it's been almost 5 years since I had the operation.
And is that, I mean, because... No.
But I tried it out. It's like buying a new car and not driving it. I tried it out once, you know, to see what it was like. Nothing, you know, with a guy. And it's like, it made me almost nauseous, you know, to do it. And then the guy ejaculated, and now here I am walking down the hallway to go to the bathroom with the stuff running down my leg like I used to do to the women that I banged up and have fun with.
So now you see kind of this full circle, but at the time, I mean, how pissed are you that, man, I got rid of my penis,
right?
Now I don't have no feeling.
Right. I was pissed. Oh yeah, because, you know, I mean, why did I do this? What was put into my mind and my brain to take a perfectly good dude and make a girl out of him, you know? When the guy was happy doing what he was doing. You see, that's where it kind of, it's a catch-22, so to speak. Because I was happy with what I was doing. I didn't want to give it up, but I would have wound up in jail somewhere.
You think had you not...
well, I was never a pedophile, never wanted kids. I was never any of that stuff. So, you know.
You think you would have wound up in trouble at some point?
I know I would have. I guarantee it. Cruising these streets, looking for prostitutes at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I did that a lot. I'd wake up at, like I said, at midnight, 1 o'clock. I said, I don't want to do the movie thing anymore. I'm tired. I'll just go look for a hooker, you know. And I did that many, many times, you know. Because living in Vegas for 32 years, I mean, there's hookers everywhere, you know. So they're easy to get. Everywhere you look, you're going to find one. You know, some $20, some $50, some $1,000. I'd always get the $20 ones, you know. So, but just to get hand jobs in the car, that would suffice me. You know, you pick up a girl on the street, it's a $20 bill. She gives you a hand job in a parking lot over here, and you're on your way, and you felt good. Oh, chalk up another one. There's part of the 1,000, you know. But I just...
What do you think you spent over the years on sex? Or on
oh, my goodness. I'd probably say a couple $100,000 on everything with all the sex and all the magazines, movies, everything you can imagine. Probably, yeah, at least, because we're talking 42 years, you know, so, yeah.
So, what do your kids think?
Well, my daughter, she's actually, her and her husband are both preachers in Kansas, and they pastor a Foursquare Pentecostal church, and that's another story in itself. That's why I have a 200-page book. Because they robbed the grandmother and myself of $40,000 in the will, and they double dipped, and so we didn't really speak a whole lot, too much. You know, I still wrote her, it said happy birthday or something. Love, Dad. I always put Dad. I didn't put who I am, Diamond D or anything, and at my son. He lives here in town, and we talk maybe once a year on the computer, Facebook. That's about it. You know, they don't want to have nothing to do with me. And that's another thing that we had the conversation back when they stole the money and everything. And I told them, I said, you go ahead and take the money. We are done. We're not speaking again. You know you're doing wrong. You're spitting on your dead grandmother's grave. What about me? I don't care about the money. I never really cared about money. It's the fact that how can they do that, you know? But kids, they were 23, 24 at the time. So they wanted the money, so they took it. They said, the hell with you, and they took the money. So I said, okay, that's fine. But I forgave them. Bible says you got to forgive. You don't have to like what they did, but you got to love them. And that's just like everybody else. My ministry now is to the transgender, gay, lesbian community. It's one of the hardest ministries you'll ever have because they think they're right. They don't think they're doing wrong. They think it's all good. And I just have to show them the love of Jesus, you know. I can't tell them they're wrong because they're going to say, there's the door.
So tell me, you lived 5 years as a woman.
Almost. Well, actually a little. I mean, I had the surgery November 20th. It'll be 5 years. I had it in 2007. But I actually lived part-time as a cross-dresser and all that. You're supposed to live a year to 2 years before you get the surgery. I had to go to the therapist and lie to him. You know, I had to figure out a way to get the hormones. I found a friend. She says, oh, so-and-so over here gives the hormones. Okay, so I get on the hormones. And then I asked, oh, so-and-so over here is a lawyer. She can get your name changed. So I did that. And then they said, we need 2 letters from psychiatrists before you can get the surgery, you know. And it's called that Harry Benjamin thing. And anyway, I got one. I said, I got cash. How much is it going to cost me? And she said about $400. You know, so I said, that's fine. So I got the letter from her, and she says, oh, now she sends me to this other psychiatrist. He was $250 for an hour, and I got the 2 letters. I race off to Arizona, and this was a week after my birthday. Okay, this was in August, and by November I had the surgery because I had cash, and I lied to them. They thought I was a great candidate for it, you know. Everything was a lie. My whole life has been a lie, pretty much, you know. A lie, deceitful, destroying relationships. I called my 4th ex-wife on the phone from a hotel room. I said, we're getting a divorce. We're done after 11 years, you know, because I was going to go to Florida and get hooked up with a bunch of chicks down there, you know, be a beach bum and have a big sex life and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's a sad story. It's how somebody can really get addicted to sex, and this whole world is geared on sex. I don't care. It's till you actually have no sex for forever, you don't even know what it's all about. You know.
So what happened 2 days ago?
2 days ago, as you look at me now, I'm back to being who God wanted me to be as a man, and it doesn't really matter what I got between my legs because no one's going to see it anyway. And I've been reading my Bible every day, and all I could hear was God saying, well, you really need to go back to being who I made you. And your story is great, but just don't do it as a girl because you're not a girl. And I know that. It just tears me up to think that I did all this, and I was a phony. I was a fraud, but I tried pulling it off. And people called me ma'am and she and her, and you know, I had my long hair. I didn't wear much makeup. As you can see, I got lip liner. I had the eyebrows tattooed, which now I got to live this way, but it's a great testimony. And I just want to try to help someone else before they make the same mistake I did. And I do. I'm coaching a 25-year-old right now in the Fusion Community Church, and he was on the same path. And he was going to the strip clubs, and he was masturbating constantly, and he tells me to this day, and I'm helping him out, that he's recovering, that he's getting through it. And it's probably one of the hardest things you can do as a 25-year-old guy with all this sex, living in this town. That's why they call it Sin City. But it's all about the sex, the gambling, and the drugs. That's the three things that'll get you most here.
When you hear that passage that says lust will never be satisfied,
right?
What does that mean to you?
Well, I lusted for most of my life, you know. whether you just look at a woman and you lust after her without even touching yourself. You're lusting after her thinking, oh, she'd be great in bed, or you're trying to, picture her with no clothes on, or something like that. That kind of lusting, it's, I don't do none of that anymore. I was set free, by the blood of Jesus. And I thank him every day, because I don't know where I'd be today if I didn't have the Lord, And I have a friend that came over to my house a couple of weeks ago, and he said he's an atheist now. He used to ride with the group that I was. I was the president of the CMA here in town, and all those people they just told me to go get out. They said, well, you can't be a part of us. They never ever tried to help me. They didn't give me scripture. They didn't set me down. They says, oh, let's pray for you, brother. Let's find out what's going on. All they said was the pat answer. Oh, if that's what you're going to do, well, everybody I told I was getting a sex change and blah blah blah. They all said, "Oh, if that's what you think is right, then go ahead and do it." If you feel good about it, if that's what you want, go do it. And how can that happen when you're supposed to be accountable for your brothers and sisters and help them out, according to what I read? And they didn't do it. They did not do it. And to this day, they thought I was going to be a disgrace to them. That's why they didn't do anything. They just told me there's the door. I said, okay,
So you still introduce yourself as D, or do you think you'll ever go back to Dave?
I can't go back to Dave for the simple fact that he was a bum. He was probably the worst person I ever knew for what he did. And to try to go back to being him would just destroy my mind, It would destroy me, because a name is just a name. How many times you go in the back in the Old Testament and you see the names were changed. So changing the name is not bad. The Diamond D is a unisex name. So plus I got it tattooed all over me, Diamond D. This one, Reverend Diamond D, and I was actually an ordained reverend online. So I always thought I had to have a title. You don't need no title. What do you need a title for? But I always thought I needed to be important. And that's another reason, all the tattoos and the piercings. I thought, I'm going to be somebody someday. I want to be famous, But now, I do want to be famous. But I want to be famous for God. And I want to take everybody down the path that needs help. Please listen to this, because without the Lord, you'll have nothing. You'll have nothing. He's the vine and we're the branches, and we can do nothing without him. And I'm a firm believer in that.
Last question. Somebody watching this online, surfing for porn, or hiding a bunch of secrets on their computer from their spouse. They just found this story online, and just maybe even just right on the camera. What would you say to that person that can't believe this would ever happen to them? Because I think most people think, no, I'm not in that bad a shape. I can fix myself. What would you warn or caution them?
I would tell them that God's the only one that can fix you. I would tell them to seek help, to seek counseling, to go to any church and ask the pastor for help. That's what I would do. If you're with your wife, she might even be able to help you. But the whole thing is why most people will not go to any of these things, because it's all about the embarrassment. You are so embarrassed with what you've been doing that you can't tell anybody that. And that's what I kept a secret for all those years. I couldn't tell nobody. I was too embarrassed. How can I tell someone that I went on the middle of a road in Arizona, parked my car, got out there, masturbated, laying on the road looking at the stars? I mean, how can you tell people the dirty shame, being a cab driver, masturbating with a coat over my lap while I'm hauling passengers? How can you tell people that? I'm telling them now because I have to tell the truth. The truth has to be told, that how far this can go. So please get some kind of help somewhere, because don't be ashamed. I know it's easy to say, and people are doing it, and they can't stop, but you have to stop. You have to stop and get help, because You're going to destroy your life. You're going to destroy the life of your friends, your spouse, whoever it may be, because this is the worst thing that I think that anybody could do, is get involved in the sex industry or business or whatever. It destroyed me, but praise God, I'm set free now, and I'm happy as can be. I am so happy. It's overjoyed, because my life now is like over the top. I have nothing, but I have everything, if that makes sense. I have Jesus.